New York City's architecture is as diverse as its people. With a broad mix of styles from different historical and cultural eras, the city has built one of the world's most impressive collections of buildings. New York's passion for architecture began even before it was officially recognized as the largest U.S. city in 1790. Although nearly every architectural style can be found here, we'll look at the most influential periods. The first architectural style linked to New York City is neoclassicism, which lasted from 1780 to 1820. Key features of neoclassical buildings include columns and arches. The facades are usually made of brick or stone, and the overall design often follows the classical column structure: a strong base with a grand entrance, a simple shaft with little decoration, and a prominent top. There are several variations of this style: Federalist, influenced by English architecture; Idealist, focused on moral and symbolic meanings; Rationalist, which highlights classical building methods; and Greek Revival, which emphasizes symbolic values. Famous examples of neoclassical buildings in New York include St. Peter's Church, Federal Hall, and Lagrange Terrace, Colonnade Row. From 1818 to 1850, Greek Revival, a variation of neoclassicism, dominated American architecture and became the first truly national style in the U.S. Its connection to classical tradition and democracy struck a chord with New Yorkers, leading to its widespread popularity across the country. Examples of Greek Revival buildings in New York include Cushman Row, the Brotherhood Synagogue, and the Friends Meeting House. Gothic Revival, popular from around 1820 to 1860, shares some similarities with Greek Revival, especially in its strong symbolic meaning. However, instead of focusing on politics, it emphasizes religion and nature. Known for its intricate details, the style was intended to inspire goodness and virtue. While often associated with churches, it was also used for homes. Notable examples of Gothic Revival buildings in New York include St. Patrick's Cathedral, Trinity Church, and Tavern on the Green. From 1860 to 1880, Second Empire Baroque replaced Gothic Revival in New York City. Originating in France and named after the Second French Empire, this style had a significant influence on the city's architecture. Inspired by the Louvre's 1850s additions, it was commonly used for both public and residential buildings. The style is eclectic, combining Baroque elements with mansard roofs and low, square domes. Iconic examples of Second Empire buildings in New York include the Plaza Hotel, the Gunther Building, and the Waldorf Astoria. French influence on New York City architecture continued into the early 1900s with the Beaux-Arts Classicism movement. From about 1890 to 1920, the Beaux-Arts style exaggerated classical design to grand proportions, as seen in Grand Central Terminal, the Custom House at Bowling Green, and the New York Public Library. This period was closely tied to the Second Renaissance Revival, which focused on the organized features of the Italian Renaissance. Notable examples of Renaissance Revival buildings include Carnegie Hall, New York City Hall, and the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. One important Beaux-Arts building, the Equitable Building in Lower Manhattan's Financial District, played a key role in starting what became the most iconic era of New York City architecture, the setback style era, which led to the creation of the skyscraper. In 1916, a zoning law was passed requiring buildings to have setbacks to reduce the shadows cast by tall structures. This wedding cake style became very popular from the 1920s to the 1960s and is mostly unique to New York City. Some famous examples of setback-style buildings include the Chrysler Building, Radio City Music Hall, and the Empire State Building. The setback style of the early 20th century eventually evolved into Art Deco, which reintroduced ornate details inspired by earlier architectural styles. However, in the second half of the 20th century, architecture shifted to the International style, which favored simple, boxy shapes and minimal design. Notable buildings in the International style include Trump Tower, Madison Square Garden, and the original World Trade Center Twin Towers. The history of New York City architecture is as diverse as its people. The city's buildings reflect styles and influences from around the world, shaping its unique character. The skyscraper, which emerged at the start of the 20th century, transformed the city's skyline, taking it to new heights. New York remains a place where ideas become reality, are tested, and reimagined just as the city's architecture has evolved over time.